Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Going into potentially the scariest part. This has been a heavy episode. There's a lot of scary shit going on. We're gonna see what happens when you summon this angry spirit. So I don't think. I mean, Miro, we haven't seen you do summoning stuff very much. We've seen it once.
Uh-uh.
And
Went
I
great the first time. Fuck.
describe the point up until describe the opening of the door. Right? What does it look like when Miro is doing the thing? And then I will describe what happens.
Um. So if I was using my summoning skill, it would be like legit normal holy chanting and prayers and stuff.
Mhm.
But I have inspiration this time. There's something within me that will grant me much more power than my simple teachings. I mean, it's all in the service of God, so it doesn't matter anyway, right? This is all for a good cause. So he doesn't think too much of it. But I think this manifests in the the effects. We see at first, I think, probably something like kind of cliched, like sun rays coming through and like lighting up the graveyard that we're all in. Everybody's like into it. It's getting kind of warmer. People are starting to feel a bit at peace. But how does my corruption manifest itself?
Well, I mean, I can take it from here.
Yeah.
I mean, we see your earthly activities, right? Where you're just like praying and the clouds sort of begin to part, and there's some like whispering, like ooh, and they're all exciting, and then like rays of light come down from the heavens, and then the circle starts to bleed, like a brand, stabbed into the flesh of a calf. We see the ground start to like blister, and blood sort of pool in the circle. Everybody starts to kind of like look nervously at each other, and then one of the priests, we see him like buckle over, like holding his stomach, and he throws up, like vomits on the ground. And one of the other, we hear a nun scream, and she's like holding her face, and there's like blood dripping from her eyes between her fingers. There's a tearing sound, as something sort of crawls up from inside the circle. And we can see first the long black hair and shoulders of the shape of a naked man, covered in blood, kind of pulling himself up out of the ground. And and then he stands in the circle, and there's like there are people that are fainting and like throwing up, and like it's like they all suddenly have been poisoned. Father Garrulus has like run to hide behind a mausoleum, and he's like muttering prayers and clutching his his holy book. And so the only person really like still just like kind of standing there is you, right? Everybody else is panicking and all kind of out of focus. What is your husband? What did he look like in life, Alessandra?
He was tall.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that he probably had, because what does the king look like? Remind me of like Laric's genealogy sort of stuff. What does Reza look like?
I think we described him as being kind of like hawk nosed.
He would have had a beard, because he's had children. A child. He probably has. I'm gonna pull like from Larix is pine, right, or something like that.
Larch,
no.
But yeah.
Larch. What coloration is larch? Like, larch trees.
I don't know about trees. Brown, I'm guessing.
So like probably like an auburn colored hair.
Mhm. I mean, you
Like
can't tell because he's covered in blood, but yeah.
well, yeah, but like and you said it's long, with green eyes, kind of an olive, like I've been outside hunting around kind of skin. And yeah, tall, broad shouldered. He was probably similar to Reza, active in doing outdoors type stuff and hunting and things.
How
So
how old was your kid when he died?
very, very young.
So his beard is like real short, right?
Mhm.
Because you're allowed to stop. You stop shaving when your child is born.
Yeah, so because I had my let's see, my life paths. We decided that it was around 4 years ago, probably, and that he was so about he would have been about a year old.
Okay.
My son.
So not like super, not a stubble, but like yeah, not a big bushy beard. Okay.
Mhm.
So he's just naked and dripping with blood, and he stands in the circle and just like looks at you with these like white eyes, and when he opens his mouth to speak, a black like bile like spills down his chin, and his voice comes out both as a raspy like human voice, but you can hear the whisperings of other voices inside, and he says, "Why?" and like takes a step forward, and there's a sizzle when his like foot steps into the snow, as it like melts under his step.
Steel test.
Totally steel test. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the like 1,000?
Fuck yeah, very high. So yeah, like a ghost given form. I mean, we don't know if he's physical yet, but yeah, a ghost given form. Obviously like corrupt and awful. Not as sanctified as maybe you'd hoped. Heaven's walls might have some cracks in them, through which he was yanked. So let me see here for steel, because I need that list of additional.
Incoming Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Did everyone made a zombie game and playing well? Woo!
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many other corpses climb out of their graves in this graveyard?
Yeah, seeing the living dead plus he's a ghost. I think, and he's horrible magic at work, being in the presence of, I mean, I think it's like plus 5 ob for sure.
So hesitation +5.
Yeah, the presence of demons or angels, witnessing or suffering under a sorcerer's cataclysmic destruction. This is like pretty bad. It's not like the whole earth being destroyed, but it's pretty.
What
it's
page
pretty
is this
fucking
on?
bad. 363.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it is Miro though, so like maybe Ob 4 is more realistic.
Does Miro have some special thing that like?
Well, it's just he's a summoner, right? Like,
Well, I would argue the one thing that works in his favor here, although it's not a die trait, is the fact that he is like deranged, like that he is mentally ill, and therefore these things
Yeah.
don't have the same impact. But that being said, the rules do demand that we.
well, see, he's a ghost technically. And what's funny is even if you had succeeded, everyone in the audience would have to make that same steel test, right? Even if it was like good.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's horrible magic at work. So I guess plus 4 is probably.
Yeah. So hesitation +4.
Yeah.
4 plus 4, 8. Obviously no way I can pass this, but we'll just see how.
Give me one second to switch the thing over so everybody.
Sometimes you roll hella 6s, Dave. Could
Yeah.
happen. Sometimes you roll hella 1s as well.
Yeah. And it's totally fine.
Okay. And it's already automatically open-ended, so
Yeah.
you get
that
three
was-
3 of the 8 you needed. So
5.
what do you do?
Let me do this because I do it every single time. Google defines wound.
Yeah,
no.
what's your response to your failed steel test? Do you
I
run?
don't know. No.
Do you
Almost
beg for
fine.
mercy?
No.
Stand and drool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's like, this is terrible and it's really bad, but in the same way that everything that happens to Miro, it's still a sign from the angels. So he's just like overcome with this, like, I don't know whether it's his subconscious like defending him at this point, something which is normally an affliction comes to his aid here, and he's able to stand his ground because he can't make himself accept the reality of the situation. But I think he just stands there in awe. There's probably a lot of physical fear responses, but his body doesn't move because he's also enraptured by it. He's going to stand there and maybe physically draw.
Okay.
He cries a bit as well, but he like it just comes from his face.
So
he doesn't
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the like still face with the tears
Yeah.
running down it.
Yeah, and we see this close up of Miro's face. Yeah, tears of religious terror in your eyes, and we see in the reflection of your eyes the spirit approaching you. We see him take a few steps towards you, and he reaches out like to grab you as you shake in fear. And then this is where the soundtrack would get all like weird low rumbling sound, like a weird like screeching. Things in view become like juddery and hard edged, and the spirit winces and like turns away from you. And we see you briefly kind of from its perspective, and there's just this sort of faint like flickering kind of greenish aura around you, and it turns away hissing. And I think that he sneers at you and kind of like paces back and forth like a hungry animal. And then I think he's going to leave. I think that he realizes he can't touch you for whatever reason. And he turns and walks away from you. And there's a monk standing like trembling in terror, like reaching for his prayer beads, and the ghost walks through him, and as he does, the guy's flesh just like liquefies. He just like immediately like rots from within and just crumbles. We see his head topple from his body.
Oh,
and he
okay.
falls,
Not a sanctified undead then.
and
okay.
he falls to the ground and just like turns to mush. And the spirit walks away through the graveyard, sort of vanishing. And people around are like literally like they've all been poisoned with the same poison that killed him. So there are just like corpses lying in like puddles of their own black vomit. And I think that as you recover, Miro, as you recover your ability to move and speak, you hear a wet, like gurgling, like shout of like panic and pain, and you turn, and out from behind his hiding spot, you see Father Garrulus stagger out, put his hand up onto a statue, and then like vomit more of this like bloody like bile onto himself, and then collapse to his knees, looking up at you imploringly.
Instinct.
I muted my mic for it, but I was slow clapping.
I saw.
Yep.
You really fucked this one up, buddy.
You did. I'm a priest, but unlike in most things, doesn't mean I have healing magic. No. No.
Well, now that all these people are dead, you can summon their ghosts.
I mean, you've
right?
got faith. You can pray. You can ask God for a miracle to save his life.
Could hypnotize him.
Well, I mean,
Going to be okay.
he's got faith in a dead God too. So
he's actually a good target.
he is
for
a good
your-
target for your faith to work.
I feel like this is gonna be bad for your rep, man. Everybody die.
Well, there's no witnesses, right? Like
That's why you gotta let this motherfucker die. so
Miro,
you know-
yeah, Miro can spin this however he wants. But that's the I would think that would be the first thing as a faithful man. That would be the first thing that comes to mind. Like God can save this guy.
Double down. Another spirit to save this guy.
He doesn't have time to
Swallow the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why you followed the fly though.
I'm just looking at the what the two things are, because I know it's hypnotize or something else.
Well, no, you have regular faith. There's a couple that are exempt. Yeah, you look up faith in a dead god. I'll look up how actual faith works.
That's real faith you're not permitted to have.
Mm.
Also, maybe you have a clever religious aphorism to tell him as he's dying.
Yeah.
And it's your
fault.
That's
a given for sure.
Maybe this is a sign of the angel's holy machinations.
That's right. He who lieth with devils do eateth of the serpent's venom. And so from the kingdom of the dead shall come the fang that doeth deliver. Just come up with some random bullshit. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. Do you want to try? Do you pray for God to save this man, or do you just watch him barf up his liquefied organs?
The faithful may call for a blessing, curse, aid, boon, guidance, minor miracle, inspiration. I guess I want a minor miracle here.
Yeah, curing him of poison is totally a miracle that God, if God were still alive, could have done something about.
Yeah, totally. I actually haven't made any legit faith tests.
A minor miracle. Here we go. So let me read from the book. Let me read from the Book of Crane. When it is dark, we pray for light. When sorcerers chant, we pray their spells be broken. When the blade is snapped, we pray it be made whole again. When blood ebbs from the wound, we pray that it be closed. Sounds like a minor miracle to me.
Sounds like it. Right. What's the
the obstacle to call on a minor miracle is 5.
Let's see. 4 faith.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, he can help you.
Or is it easier to do it on him? Does he reduce the odds?
No, it's just you're allowed to use it on him.
Oh, okay, right. That's
so
what
you can. I mean, if you really believe in the heart of the cards, Dave, you could get 5 successes on 5 dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Yeah, I think the only additional dice you can get is that he can help. If you kneel before him and get him to pray for his own sanctity.
Do the clutching his hands and yours praying together thing.
Dave, use corruption, Dave.
Or you could just get 7 dice from the darkness.
Yo, can you use corruption for faith?
I mean, you're praying and the signal gets intercepted, I think.
That's really cool and awful.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is if he has the believer trait, that is the die trait that will affect things.
He does not have faith. I see. If he has the believer trait, miracles are at -1 up. No, he doesn't. He believes in God, but really in a more God is still alive. There are mysteries to figure out, but he's not as fervent as you. He doesn't have that.
Sure, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't even bother. But whatever. That's another question. I kind of like the idea of me going over to help him and get him to start speaking and try and help himself. And it turns out that I spend my other persona point, and probably as I fail, we realize he also sees this green aura around me, which is obviously not the color I want it to be, and I'm not going to be aware of the fact that it's green. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do corruption again.
Okay, so you're gonna pray. You're gonna pray to God. You're gonna pray to your dead God for a minor miracle, but your prayer is heard by the dark powers. They're paying close attention to you now.
The skull.
Let me double check that you can swap this in for an emotional attribute. Using corruption, any skill or stat in any test. All right.
Yep.
Great.
So it works for faith too. Go figure.
Go figure. So you kneel to describe. So he's crawling through the snow, hurling up bloody black ooze that is his internal organs liquefying. He grabs your robes, pulls himself up, and is kneeling in front of you, covered in his own viscera. You can see his eyes filling with blood. He's dying horribly from this poison. What do you do?
Father, brother, this something has gone terribly wrong. The 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 the, the, the disbelief, the heresy, it's taken root here. Clearly, this place is no longer looked upon by heaven, but the power of two of his faithful together, you and I, we can reverse this. We can fix this. And like he starts praying.
Okay. And what is the miracle you're praying for? Spare him his life from this monstrosity?
Yeah, and I think where the corruption comes into it is there's this undertone.
Oh, you're just trying to corrupt him too. You're just trying to make him another chaos cultist, right? Like,
well, yeah, there's the
Amoeba Robillard.
So it's at first very subtle, like emphasis on the words, on like the I words, and like need, and it's like your fate, your servant, and like it keeps going, and it's like he says my servant at some point, and like it starts to get all confused and babbly.
Sure. Okay, so Miro isn't aware of what is happening here, but he's calling out, and the powers of corruption are going to use you as a way to crack open Father Garrulus, get in there, and imbue him with their own corruption in the same way that you're corrupted. You're opening his soul up to damnation.
Sure.
And they'll spare him if you succeed. Otherwise, he'll probably just something gross.
Yeah, it's just that subtle shift in who you're praying to.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
because God's dead, right? So somebody's listening, but it's not God.
This may be the punchline to this whole thing. I'm feeling is like, yeah, no, you weren't actually praying to a dead god. There were just other stuff.
Okay, so it's Ob 5 Faith. You have 7 dice, 'cause that's your current corruption, plus 1 from the feeble prayers of your friend.
Yep. Let's double dip. Let's use the fate point to get the +2.
Get another 2. Okay. So this will count as two more corruption tests.
Jesus. That is really, really quickly.
Oh, God damn.
So, what if I 3, Arthur?
There is no
9,
God, believe that God's dead.
And when you spend the fate point to get the 2 helping dice, is it just at the difficulty of the test that you're making that you mark, or is it some specific?
It's the same way you would test it if someone else with 2 dice was helping you.
Okay, cool.
Hey, look at that! The dark powers will keep him alive. Do you want to spend another fate point and reroll that? That's 6. Like, you got it. This would just be for, I guess, gray shade corruption, if you ever hope for such a thing. I think you're probably fine.
I think I'm probably fine.
Okay.
Can you remind me again? How many routine things am I supposed to track?
We can look at tracking corruption.
Gray shade corruption.
We can look at corruption after.
It's like 4 or 5 forevermore.
4 or 5 for every level. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't keep going up. There's a hard limit on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because this is the 4th dot.
Okay.
Yeah, so
cool. So you're full on routine tests for this level of corruption.
Yeah, then I need to get 4 difficult or 2 challenging. I feel like I might probably have a challenging waiting for me at the end of the session, based on the list.
Oh, I think so.
Okay, so he, you grab his hands and like press them together, and you stare into his eyes, and you begin to pray to God to like save him, and he's trying to pray, but he keeps like throwing up and like falling, and you like hold him close to you, and the two of you are a mess, and it's freezing, and there's all these dead priests everywhere, but you can feel it. You can feel the flames of his life growing and flickering, and he won't die. But I'm gonna get you to roll for him. He definitely has corruption if he didn't have it before. Let's give old uncle here a corruption trait.
What level is he going to start off at? It's probably pretty high.
I don't know. Like let's. I mean, we'll start low, right? Like we'll just start him at. He's not really ever done anything corrupt before. We'll start him at 2. And you can give him the 1 trait. Let's have you roll. 2d6 plus 2.
Okay, and you can decide.
Uncle Amoeba Lard. Nice. It won't happen. I will add a new emotional attribute for him.
So he either gets Wolverine or Palsy.
Oh my god, Wolverine is perfect for this.
Yeah.
Because the Wolverine trait here is not that he's like a Wolverine, it's like he's like the Wolverine, in the sense that he heals remarkably quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, all right. So he falls to the ground at the end of the prayer, screaming in pain as all of his internal organs regrow inside of him. And so we see him thrashing on the snow, covered in his own blood and vomit, kicking and screaming. And you can like his organs are like refilling his chest cavity. And I guess we get one last shot of Miro before we go somewhere else. But Miro, what do we see you doing as your I guess new chaos sorcerer here is being knit back together?
So as this is going on, I think Miro probably, if this is okay with you, starts hearing for the first time like an auditory type hallucination. He's only ever seen like read evidence into things before. But I think this might be the first time he's being guided into doing this. The way his prayers are changing, someone's telling him how to do it differently. And whether that is physically like an auditory hallucination or whether it's something from beyond speaking to him, I guess there's no real distinction. So for the first time, he's like hearing that, and it gets like so loud, it's like screaming. So he's like covering his ears, and I think he probably like passes out.
Okay.
Like in the snow.
Awesome. Okay, so you hear the whisperings of the void, and they grow louder and louder until you can't shut them out, and then you collapse in the snow. Cool, and we fade out on that horrific miracle. It went great. You did good.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Alessandra, eventually,
Can I move? I'm
Alessandra is quickly packing her bags.
I just want to put this out there. Selling the soul of another to a dark power is an Ob 8 corruption test, Dave. Just
we haven't got there yet, but that's definitely available.
put that in your thoughts.
So just to polish this off, right? Like the spirit of he has not become a different form of spirit or anything. So he still has to abide by the same rules. The sanctification of his spirit means that he's not going to like show up and like strangle Joy to death or anything, right? Like he can't physically like affect the world, but he can supernaturally fuck with shit, and he can show up and like be like visible. He's a ghost in the haunting sense of the ghost.
He can't physically affect the world, except for he just boiled someone's skin off.
Yeah, that was just the initial burst of corruption power.
That was just the one bad, horrible.
He's also a channel for whatever corrupt power is flowing through Miro and now your uncle, and in part through Joy. So there is that. But no, I mean, he's not a revenant. He's not like a zombie. He's a vengeful ghost.
Okay.
I changed my mind. I said I wasn't sorry during the break, but now I am sorry. I'm sorry I've killed your characters and the whole setting.
So it's okay. You just need, I mean, there is someone else present who has dealings with spirits and has magic who can maybe handle this shit. Yeah,
the Magus.
Yeah, totally. The Magus. No.
We
We don't know what the Magus's corruption stat is.
No, we don't.
Secretly, he's an amoeba in a human suit. You just haven't been able to tell so far.
So
Lady Alessandra, you went back to your room, and so do we see you like in your room with all your shit everywhere, or do we see you like after that where you're off doing something else?
I mean, because this whole like crazy corruption shit was the next day, right? So like I went into my room, I threw everything everywhere. I don't know if you want me to roll for.
I mean, the corruption thing can be like later, right? It's in another thing. You're not going to be directly affected by it now. There will be time, so it could be weeks later for all that it matters.
Okay.
So let's have you make an observation roll for fucking rolling rolling your room, scouring your room for all your things. So is this a like temper tantrum style, like flip things over and dump them on the floor, tear your bed sheets out, like cops looking for drugs kind of thing, or is this okay? All right.
Yeah, this is not. We're not doing this in a neat and tidy kind of way. She's tossing things.
Okay. All right. So it's gonna be observation, and you can roll. Do you have the observation skill?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you can roll it, and then just I'll tell you if you find anything based on what you get.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any other kind of skill that I have that would help me at all, unless like manipulation wise could be forked in for like this guy's. No, he's spying. That would be like some other thing.
Yeah,
it's fine. I'll just. What's the
I'm not gonna tell you. You roll, and I'll just tell you if you find anything or not.
Okay.
Okay. You got 2
successes.
Do you want to re-roll that 6?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah, you don't find anything.
Okay. So yeah, she just tears up her room and like throws everything everywhere and eventually gets it worked out of her system.
I was gonna say we probably see you like holding a torn in half pillow or something, breathing hard while your room is just like, shredded. We don't see you actually like throwing stuff around.
Yeah. And I think that she probably pretend like I feel like she calls someone else to clean it up because that's not her. Like she's not gonna do it. And then
I had a temper tantrum. Clean it up.
Well, I don't know if she.
No, I like it. It's perfect.
She wouldn't even explain herself. She would just be like,
"Sure." I mean, all the noise. I think is like that's the thing is we see you, and then you hear a knock at your door. You hear like, "My lady, is everything well?"
And then she like looks around and she like opens the door and she's like,
"Yeah." And it's just like a servant, and he's just like,
And she like opens the door wider and she like pushes out of the room and she says, "This place is a mess. Clean it up." And then she's probably.
He looks into the room and then he looks at you walking away and he's like, "Yes, my lady, right away," and goes to get some help.
Yeah. She probably, because when she saw the Magus and went back to her rooms, it was probably late at night. So like she tears.
Court was in session, so it was like midday. So this is like late afternoon.
Okay.
So you could go straight to the mayor's.
Yeah. Then she would probably, after she's gotten like all of this shit out of her system, she would go and do the task that is set before her, which is go get her son back, confront Reza, and try and plant this thing, I guess.
Okay. All right. So you what, like grab a cloak and storm out of the castle?
I'm assuming there's some like system of transport that's not me just walking there.
Yeah, sure. So you go outside and just like demand like a carriage or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How do I get here from my estate? I probably have a carriage.
Maybe. Okay, sure. So the carriage they take you to the mayor's estate. So we get a tracking shot right of the winter city and the horses pulling this carriage through the cold through the cold streets and the piles of snow. You see the miserable peasants, and we follow the carriage along down into the city proper, right? Because the castle's like up a bit, and eventually we find ourselves at an old manor yard somewhere in the streets of the city. It's a bunch of big houses surrounded by other relatively large and impressive looking stone buildings. It's like the rich end of town, basically, where all the merchants live. And the mayor, I will tell you this as you're on your way. There is a custom about the mayor's house and the mayor's space, particularly, right? Like his estate. No member of the nobility can enter the mayor's estate without being given permission or being invited. It is a concession of it's like a parliament thing, kind of, where like to keep the nobles from fucking with the mayor and influencing the way the city is run. This was a thing that was instated, generations ago to say that no noble is allowed to just barge in and tell the mayor what to do. Basically, like he has sovereignty over his own home.
It's like
as
a charter thing.
Exactly, as a symbol of the mayor's authority. Like, this is the mayor's house only as long as he's the mayor. It's like the White House. He'll have to move out if another mayor is put in place. But yeah, that's a thing. So you can't just storm in.
Okay, so I would have to go ask someone at the gate or something.
Well, the mayor himself basically has to invite you in.
I don't think I would wait. I feel like Alessandra would respect it enough to like give her card to whoever's at the gate and say, I wish to contact the mayor. It is of urgent importance. Like, I'm not just gonna like wait for him to like send a letter back to me or something like that, you know? And she does the whole like, I'll wait here thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not 100% certain when you say like how it is usually done. Like, there's probably a process of time that she's not willing to observe, so it's probably a bit rude, and maybe even against rules or whatever. But she knows that her son is there, and so.
I mean, the thing is you're the fact that you're not that politically connected is actually sort of useful for you because. You're not like the king or a member of the governing body, right? If the king were to show up, push the guards aside, and storm into the mayor's house, it would be like you have just fucked the system of government for this city, right? This is an affront. But like a random noble doing it that doesn't really have a lot of political power, it's rude. It's rude as fuck, but it's not
rude. Just go up to anyone's house.
Well, I mean, you're noble. You could walk into any other house in the city and they wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd be like, please stop. And you'd just be like, no, I'm smashing your pots. I'm taking your shit. That would be fine.
Getting the rupees.
That's right. Link is a samurai. But for the mayor, it's a breach of protocol. And you know this because you have etiquette. So your carriage arrives, and you hear outside, you hear your driver say, the mayor's estate, my lady.
Is there a way to like not just barge into this guy's home to, like I said, like give someone a card and say like, I need to see him. It's urgent. Go and tell him right now. I don't want to just like bang on his door. Like people.
Well, you can't because you're at the gate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is open, but like crossing that threshold is the thing.
Yeah. So I want to like be like, I'm here. I want to see him. Like, you go tell him.
Right. You're going to send the driver up the hill to the house.
Can the driver go up there, or
Sure.
does one of the mayor's servants have to do it?
I mean, he's a commoner. He can go and petition. I mean, commoners come to the mayor's house all the time, right? To be like, Lord Mayor, I have a complaint, right? Like, they're allowed. They can come and go because they don't matter. They can't influence him in the way that a noble could.
I feel like if there's not like a member of the mayor's staff whose job it is to like go and send this message, then yeah,
you would normally, etiquette would indicate you would have in advance, not like, I'm at your front door, motherfucker, let me in. It would be like, on the morrow, I should hope to visit you, yada, yada. And you'd send that ahead. So you can just tell the driver, like, go and tell him I want to see him now.
Okay, yeah, that.
Okay. All right. So you sit in the carriage, fucking rubbing your hands together, shivering as the thin wooden walls of the carriage do no good to hold out the cold. And so, yeah, so he leaves and trudges off into the snow. He dies of exposure halfway there.
Thanks.
No, he goes.
Rip everything.
He goes, and then sometime later comes back, and he climbs up, and the wagon kind of like tilts a little, and the horse like whinnies, and you can hear him like calming her, like, there, girl, we'll be on our way soon. And he turns, and he says, and you can't see him because he's outside, and you haven't invited him into the carriage, so he's outside freezing his ass off. But he's like, I guess you need to make a roll through him.
Okay.
So what was the message you said to deliver? Like, just a generic, like, the lady Alessandra Corvide has come. She wishes to speak to the mayor. Like, what did you tell him to tell the mayor?
It's very much like, you know, like, he knows why I'm here.
Yeah, of course
right?
he does.
Like,
Totally.
so it's all that needs to be said is the lady Alessandra Corvide is here. She needs to see you. It's urgent. Well,
You're going to be, basically, I'm setting the obstacle by how much more of a friend the mayor is to Reza, right? Because if Reza's like, oh boy, don't let that lady up in here, he's gonna be like, ugh, the mayor regrets to inform you.
He can fucking try.
Because you know Reza was present for this, right? Like off screen, the guy showed up and it's like, I have a message for the Lord Mayor, and Reza was there and it's like, oh, you can tell it to me and I will tell the mayor.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So, why don't we have you? I'll give you an odd. But what? I guess you're rolling persuade, intimidate. What's your angle here? You just want to be able to get in the house, or what do you tell me what you want? And we'll figure it out.
I mean, I want an audience
With the mayor.
with the mayor.
Okay. Do you say what it's about?
No, I just say it's urgent, and he fucking knows what it's about.
Okay.
You don't have to say that. He knows.
He knows. Totally. Okay. So I think let me read etiquette here because I think it might be that. Let me see. Proper
I
courtly
feel like etiquette is
proper
good.
etiquette for a baronial lord. Okay. So we'll do like I mean, if this were an argument, it's essentially like a distance duel of wits, right? Because I'll roll for Reza. Reza's gonna try to like leverage his like, we're friends, and don't let this crazy lady up in here. And you're gonna be like, it's etiquette to like let me have an invite, but you're being rude about it. So it's complex. So it would be ob2 for you, but I'm gonna say +1 because you're not obeying the forms of time. You're saying like, now, motherfucker.
Okay.
So ob3 etiquette for you, and then I will roll for Reza, and whoever has more successes, I guess will.
So it's just a versus test then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But see, Reza's not using etiquette. Reza is using persuade. Like he's basically just being like, "Come on, man, we're friends. Like, just tell her to fuck off."
Can I fork in persuasion?
Yeah. There'll be forks and everything. But what do we think Reza's skill is here? What am I rolling? Like he's not intimidating him. It's leverage, right?
I
He's
feel like
It's
I feel like
persuade.
it's persuade.
persuade.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just trying to tell his friend that like
I'm
the
sure
best
you
thing
could-
right now is for you to like make her wait out there.
It's
or
just like,
not.
yo, be cool, be a bro.
Be a bro.
Yeah.
Exactly. Be a bro. Tell this
Depending
girl
on the
to.
relationship with the mayor, you could call it extortion.
No. So
they're
since day one of the game, Mayor Zabo and Lord Reza have been old friends.
Okay, I'm just, you know.
Yeah, totally. So okay, is there a bromance skill? No. Okay. So you're gonna roll your etiquette and figure it out. I gotta figure out what his persuade probably isn't very high, but he's gonna have some advantage dice too. Oh, I already have a persuade for him. Okay. All right.
So yeah, he would get his persuade dice plus his relationship dice, right, with his old friend, and then
yeah, I'm gonna give him a modifier here. Do you want me to roll first, and then you can find out what you're rolling against?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So he's got persuasion 4, modifier 1 bonus die because they're buds, and I think that's probably the only. I mean, he's putting a little pressure on him, so the mayor's legitimately caught between the two things. So let's see how I do for Lord Reza.
Please roll badly.
Okay, so base ob is 0 because it's a versus test.
it's Adam, so he's gonna roll like 8 successes.
4.
So persuasive.
Okay, so I have etiquette, persuasion. The mayor is not a noble, right?
The mayor is distinctly not a noble.
Very
No.
strictly
Yeah.
not a noble.
He's a member of the merchant class. He's an important peasant.
Mm.
In fact, he's the most important peasant.
Head peasant in
That's-
charge of peasants for the town.
Yeah, he's HPIC.
Can I use manipulation wise because I'm wise to the fact that Rez is up there manipulating him?
Yeah, totally. You're trying to basically
This is your jam, yeah.
you're aware of Reza being a manipulative little fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, failure here is Reza gets what he wants, right? And that is the mayor has to say to you like, "I'm sorry. I would be happy to find you an opportunity to come and visit with me in the days to come, but not right now." Right?
Oh, I've got some time next month.
Exactly.
Well, I
I
guess
have important peasants to talk to first.
That's cool. You know the king. You could just be like, "Get your soldiers, go down there and fucking get me my kid back and murder Reza." Come on.
Okay, yeah, that would go well.
Drag him out of the mayor's house
That
and
would
murder him in
be
the street.
so good.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna get my
don't
other
murder him in the mayor's
boyfriend to
house.
come back and get you.
I get 4 successes. as
Okay.
well.
Oh, and you don't have any fate, and neither does he. So on a tie, I think we both just roll will. That's how that
You can go
works?
to will, or someone can break the tie with a call on first.
Yes, that's right. If you have a call on.
A call-on trait? I don't have any call-on.
Yeah, I don't think Reza has any persuasion. Intimidation maybe, but I don't think I'm going to give him any call-ons for this stuff.
Okay, so just roll will.
Yeah, so it's just a straight up flat opposed, no modifier will test. Let me find Reza's character sheet.
Got 3.
Yeah, there's no attacker or defender really here. They're both trying to manipulate somebody.
Yeah, so
Reza.
if I may proffer a thought, Adam,
Hmm.
if we remain in stalemate, then the mayor wins,
Yeah,
and we do whatever would be easy, like the path of least resistance for the mayor, right? What would make
Sure.
the mayor comfortable.
yeah. Which I already know what I'll do if we do that. That's a great opportunity.
Can we just resolve this, please?
Okay, let me roll.
I'm anxious.
I'm sure Rez is gonna roll terribly.
Wow.
Go
It's a
shit.
tie again.
Still a stalemate. All right.
Yeah, so it's the mayor. We get what the mayor wants. It's so great.
So what the mayor wants is for this not to be like a big House Corvidae family fight in his fucking house. And he doesn't want to turn Alessandra away because then he'd get this reputation of being like, he knows you, he knows you're crazy. Also, Reza has been telling him like, I'm here hiding out because this she's coming to
She's
get me.
super
Literally
intense.
has my son.
It doesn't matter. They're old
Well,
buds.
And she has this reputation of being this like really like she's the female equivalent of a rake at court, right?
Mhm.
Like she will
I
ruin
don't
people's
have any
reputation.
such reputation.
No, but Reza doesn't like you and has been saying mean things about you to the mayor, who is his best bud. They're both leveraging. Reza is leveraging the bros before hoes situation as hard as he possibly can. So what he does, he sends Reza and Nikolai out the back door. Like I have to let her in, or this is gonna get worse for me. I don't want you here for this. Go away. So he either hides them or sends them away out some back exit. They're not here when you arrive. So Alessandro doesn't know that. The servant comes back and says to you, my lady Alessandra, the mayor awaits you at his leisure, and he opens the door. And you can see him like shivering in his like coat with his little brass buttons and his fucking beret or whatever. And he puts a gloved hand out to help you down from the carriage.
Okay, well, I would go.
Okay, sure. So he escorts you up through what's really. Have you ever been to the mayor's estate before?
I don't politic.
Sure. Okay. I mean, the mayor has like parties and stuff.
Unless Reza's like invited me here because they're buds. Like if there's parties, then hell yeah, I'd be there. I got the dance skill.
Nice. Okay. Yes. So you've been to parties here before. And you've seen this place in the spring and it's beautiful. Like the yard is landscaped beautifully. The mayor is like the best friend of the middle class, right? They all like bribe him and like, you know, the Masons Guild built his house and, you know, they build things for him and make nice things. So, but it's all covered in snow now. So you look over at a place where you once enjoyed, you know, a fine, cherry wine with some of the other noble ladies alongside a beautiful pond full of swans. The pond is frozen over, all the statuary covered in a deep burying of snow. It's a beautiful place. And I think once you were here with the king and the queen and like most of the court. Maybe every year there's a festival that reunites the sort of like lower classes by way of the mayor with the upper classes, and the king and the mayor like, you know, shake hands to reaffirm their bond as you know, they work together to make Carpathia work. But all of this is like covered in a deep blanket of snow. And so you're led up to the house, which, like Dave described before, has taken on a kind of ominous cast. It has snow kind of hanging over its eaves, and you're led up to the door where you are passed from one servant to another, and brought in to into the house. So inside, you're met by another servant, a footman of the mayor, who welcomes you. She's wearing like a smart coat and some like a doublet and hose, and she's just standing up straight, and she bows to you, and she says, "My Lady Alessandra, it has been far too long since you graced us with your presence." And she gestures. She says, "I have tea, mulled wine. Are you hungry?"
Tea will be fine.
And so she's leading you to like a side waiting room.
Yeah.
And she when you say that, she says to another servant, "Fetch the Lady Alessandra some tea." And they do. They run off. And the footman, or the valet or butler or whatever her job is, she says, "The Lord Mayor is attending a previous guest. He will be with you as soon as possible. Please make yourself comfortable." And she opens the door, gestures for you to go inside, and then for a few moments you are alone in the waiting room of the mayor.
Is this a fine time to hide a coin?
I mean, I suppose if you want to hide it in the waiting room, sure.
I mean, Lord What's His Butt didn't say where.
That's true.
Lord, what's his butt?
Yeah, for all we know, it's like as long as it's in a thing that is owned by this person, he can hear everything that they say wherever they are, or some shit.
Well, that's the thing is that, like, of course, like, if she has any idea that this is something used to spy, like, it would be more valuable to have it in a more, like, secrets being told spot. But I feel like she's a little bit ornery in that she's going to do what she's been directed to do, but maybe not as well as she'd do it if she was happier about her situation.
Okay, cool. So yeah, where do you want to hide it? There is the waiting room. It's quite different from the castle, right? The castle, everything is huge. Here, things are much more modest and comfortable, right? So there's like a couple of big overstuffed like chairs. There's a map on the wall of Carpathia and its environs. There's a modest bookcase. Yeah, where would you like to?
Is there a clock, like a grandfather clock?
Yeah, totally. And this is the thing. This is the thing that like you've probably never seen before or seen only in passing. This is the thing that requires the like deft hand of a craftsman that would only come from the middle classes, right? Some weirdo, the one clockmaker in Carpathia, was like, "My Lord Mayor," and like unveiled this beautiful mechanical thing.
Of course, it's beautiful. It also has a cabinet opens for the workings, and she puts the coin inside the clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
with
you
the
open
little
up and
like hanging ding dong things. What are they?
Pendulums.
The Magus is deafened at the time of the next hour.
No, you tuck it. You tuck it in, and we cut to the Magus and McNulty in a room somewhere, and McNulty looks at me, he's like, "We're up." So you tuck it into the clock, and you have a moment before you're brought tea. And I think that maybe we fade out on that. We'll get your meeting with the mayor when we come back. But let's take our last break here, and we'll see what happens when we return. Stick around. We'll be right back.